What is going on, guys? We are back with the Residual Earners Podcast, episode 26. I'm Jordan,
I'm Presley.
and today we got some good stuff coming.
You know, I think we do good stuff every time. You know,
I
and
know,
I
but
love the
this
way
is
you emphasize the
It's like
Residual Earner Podcast.
the Ohio State University, the Residual Earners Podcast. We are back, and today we're going to talk a little bit. We're doing a little something different today, talking kind of current events in America, business world, all this kind of stuff. We're going to go over a little bit of the debate that was a couple weeks ago. We are not picking a side. We are not talking anything like that, just the issues that America is seeing with that. We're going to talk a little bit of AI and how that's possibly affecting business moving forward. It definitely will affect business moving forward. And then the last one were interest rates and how they're affecting the business world. So I think it's a little something different, and I'm interested, guys. Leave comments below. Let us know what you think about this style of podcast, what you think. Subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell notification. I think this is, it's cool. It's something different. It's going to be fun.
I like it. We're kind of doing the gamut here. We have gone from network marketing to life lessons to business lessons to specific business topics to now we're doing interest rates, inflation, and whatever else we hit. So we're covering the gamut.
So, let's get moving on this. Obviously, we'll try to keep today's to 30 minutes ish for everybody. But let's kind of talk about what we saw with the debate, the presidential debate. My personal view, it was kind of a sad. It was sad to watch. It was not what you want to see from either side. But it was that's not what I don't think anybody wanted to really see.
No, it was pain. It pained me to watch it. To think that we're at that point. But America has overcome lots and lots of things, and we're going to keep moving, and we're still going to be America, and we're still going to be the greatest country on earth, and it's still the best opportunity for somebody to start a business. It's still, in spite of all our faults and flaws and all that, and we certainly have our share of them, but I've been blessed to travel the world, and guys, we need to count our blessings is what we need to count, because you can go just about anywhere on this globe outside of the U.S., maybe Canada, and it ain't the same. It just is not the same. Opportunities do not exist like we have them here. You can't be an old boy like me that grew up in the ghettos in South Dallas and end up being a success. That just doesn't happen in most countries. So I'm just thankful that I'm an American. I'm thankful that we have all the opportunity here. I'm thankful we can do a podcast. I'm thankful we can teach people, how to start a business, how to run a business, how to, all the stuff we go over. We wouldn't be doing this in a lot of countries.
Definitely. And, I'll give a little insight now, spending more time in Canada. They have their own issues up there. Obviously, it's a very similar place to, at least from what I found out, going to the eastern part is quite different. The western part is very similar to, living down here. There's not much change, but
Calgary actually reminds me of Fort Worth a little bit.
Exactly. But the politics up there are so different, and they have very high taxes. A lot of people do not like Trudeau that live up there. Like it's a smaller scale because there's only 30 million people in the country, but they still have all the flaws that we deal with. But how much of that debate did you watch?
I watched most of it, and then obviously I went back and saw the highlights/lowlights.
Yeah, because one thing that stuck out to me, and even being a golfer, it kind of cringed me. It's funny, but we have people in this country that are really struggling, and instead of hitting important points and whatever it may be, they're up there arguing about who would win in a golf match. It's like this is unprecedented for presidential debates in the past that it's just, it's a new day, I guess.
It is definitely a new day, and I really felt for Joe Biden. I don't think you can deny the fact that he's not the man he was a few years ago, and I think it showed through. But like I said, this is America. We're going to come out strong. It's just we're just going to have to get through this.
Yeah, because I've always heard good things about Joe Biden as a person and all that, and it's tough to watch somebody, regardless of what side you're on, that's president of the United States, that it's just not as easy as it once was for him.
No, and I'm a guy that I pray for our country. I pray for our elected officials. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, or Independent, if you're in the presidential office or if you're in Congress. I pray for you to be a success because I love America. So I don't care who it is in office. I want them to be a success. And right now I think we're struggling in the Oval Office right now, and I think we've got to hopefully get somebody in there that can run our country, I think, a little better. I think Joe would have been amazing in office. I think he was when he first started, but I think he's struggling now.
Yeah, whichever side you're on, you just want somebody in there that can.
Well, you got to negotiate with China and Russia and North Korea, and I mean, you got to be on top of your game.
Yeah. So.
And I think that affects, business a little bit as far as what we're talking about. So it's, but
I heard a deal that I'm in, and how, depending on who, this is a commercial property that a major chain is purchasing or ground leasing to them to build on, and it will affect the rate at which we can sell depending on who's coming into presidency.
Really?
Yeah. That's what I had a meeting on yesterday and talked about for a while. And, it's crazy how that office affects so many things in good ways and bad ways, which we're going to get to interest rates and inflation in a little bit. From just a business standpoint and kind of what it entails. But first, let's go over the next point. I think we've spent enough time on the debate, and by now it's a couple weeks old, but I just thought it's important to, it kind of leads into, or let's go inflation and interest rates first, since that is a major topic of the election. And, we know what the interest rates have done to us. And again, guys, we were in subprime auto lending. And so interest rates and inflation were, that's the perfect storm when talking about a subprime business. We saw firsthand how much interest rates over doubled, our interest expense. And then we saw firsthand what inflation did when, in the subprime market, it is our customer did not have a lot of disposable income. There wasn't a lot left over. And so whenever, groceries are however many times more than what they used to be, gas, whatever it may be, all of those expenses added up, there's no money left. And now, the people's income is not going up proportional to the rates or inflation, I should say. And, it definitely causes a big issue for a large portion of Americans.
Yes. And when we had the dealerships, we had up to 7 dealerships, and we are subprime, and we are in essence the bank. We ended up with, 40 some odd $1 million worth of loans out there. Some of it we had cash in the business, but we had to borrow a lot. And when you're talking tens of millions of dollars and interest doubles on you, it plays havoc with your budget.
Yeah.
I mean, plays havoc with your budget. All of a sudden, what you were paying literally doubles or more. And then, like you said, people end up having to make a choice of, do I put food on the table or do I make my car payment? They opt for food a lot of times, or it's just a struggle they're cutting out and they're still trying to make the payments and stuff like that. So it ends up being a challenge, and therefore we ended up getting out of the car business because we wanted to sleep a little better. But interest rates have been a struggle for everybody. Just buying a car nowadays. Number one, the price of cars, inflation's done something with the price of cars. But then you add, instead of paying 2% or getting interest free or whatever, now you're paying 7 or 8%. It costs people so much more. And I'm talking about folks that can go get a good loan. My gosh, with subprime nowadays, with interest where it is, people are paying 21% for interest on a subprime loan because interest has gone up so much. It's affected business in lots and lots of ways. And even in our auto transport business, you buy trucks, you obviously put a big chunk down because you want to be in a good position equity-wise on those trucks. But still, with interest rates higher, it costs us more when you're buying the trucks. Now, obviously, it's not like it was when we were playing the bank with the subprime, but it affects every area of business, and inflation affects it. I mean, the price of fuel to run the trucks that are hauling all the cars. We spend so much more now on fuel because gas prices have gone from $1.60 to $3.50 or whatever. I mean, it's affecting everything. So think of all those big trucks you see rolling, hauling everything that America buys, and realize that those trucking companies are paying more for fuel, so they're having to charge the person, the company more to transport it, which means it comes to you and I when we go buy the toilet paper. It costs them more to get it there, so therefore they jack the price of the toilet paper up, which means we're paying more. You don't have to go to the grocery store but one time, and when you're just buying milk and eggs and some bread, and you walk out and you got 2 little old bags and it costs you $74 or something, I mean, things have changed. So, inflation affects business. It affects everything.
Yeah, and I think especially with kind of some consumer goods, grocery type things, I feel like everything has not gone up percentage-wise the same amount. No. It's the stuff you don't use that's gone up 6%, and the things you do use that's gone up 50, 60%, where you really feel it. And, I mean, obviously, you and I are not affected by the price of groceries, but it's caught my attention when, the grocery bills are way higher than what they used to be.
Well, and the other thing that affects the common person is, I've got a F-150 that obviously is sitting right outside here. When it gets real low on gas and I go fill it up, it's over $100 to put gas in that rascal.
No.
Well, thank the Lord, like you said, we can afford to do that. But there's a lot of people that's a day's wages or half a day's wages anyway to just put gas in their truck or whatever. So it's definitely affecting everything, Jordan.
It's just crazy. But, let's see what else we have here. How does that, how do the interest rates and inflation, think further down the line of, so we know how it affects the consumer, how does it affect the business owner on the back end of those products that people are trying to buy?
Well, I think why you're seeing a lot of businesses go out of business right now is a business owner, he's buying whatever he's selling. I mean, it could be widgets, but he's buying it. Well, he's got to ship it in, so it gets shipped in on usually on trucks, and so the company that's making the widgets, their raw materials cost more because inflation's up. Then they're paying their employees a little more because inflation's up. And then he's got to ship it to get it to the individual stores. The diesel prices are way up. Well, all of a sudden, that widget that just used to cost X, now it costs 2X. Well, the store owner gets that widget that now cost him 2X. Well, he can't sell it for what he used to sell it for because he wouldn't have enough margin in there to make his business function properly. So he has to put the price way up. So now he just doubled the price of what he's selling it to the end user. Well, now that end user is struggling because they're having to buy groceries and gas and everything else. So they're not buying as many widgets as they were. So now it just ends up being a snowball effect. So now that business owner isn't selling as many widgets as he used to sell. So now he's struggling to keep his business doors open. So it just all snowballs with each other. It's a big spider web effect that everything affects everything when inflation really hits and when interest rates rise, and it ends up affecting that business owner. And a lot of times they can't sell enough widgets to keep the doors open, so they end up closing their store, which then that has a snowball effect. He's letting employees go. He doesn't have a job anymore. I mean, it's not good when we're in a situation like we are right now.
Definitely. And not only that, usually, you're not selling as many and the margin's less. So
not selling as many in the margins less and we know that. I mean, talk about the car business. You were the one doing the pricing on the units that we were selling. You can only mark them up so much because then you're selling them for more than what the consumer can buy them for.
Well, that and with interest rates up, it's like now we have, the payments don't make sense, and we've outpriced our customers. So it made it where the numbers, didn't work anymore.
No,
which is not a good place.
Well,
to be.
you're selling a car that you used to sell for $12,000. Now you're selling it for $15,000 or $17,000. Okay, that made the payment go up, obviously, because your principal's higher. But then now your interest rate's higher, so you're spending more for the vehicle and your interest rates are higher. It puts the payment at a price point where folks can't afford it.
No. In your way, what's the way out of this?
If I had the answer to that, Jordan, number one, I'd be a whole lot wealthier than I am.
Just the basics for everyone. The basics of turning it and getting it to go the other direction.
Well, in theory, you put interest rates up higher, it should slow the economy down, which should slow inflation down. But they've got that balancing act of I can't get the economy slowed down too much because now my unemployment goes up. So they're trying to balance it, and it seems like we're kind of getting a grip on that. When we can get the feds to start lowering the interest rate, then all of a sudden it's going to get things back in whack a little better. And they're anticipating in 2025 that we're going to start getting things pretty much, hopefully, Lord willing, back to, what's more of an acceptable norm than what we are now. But being on the Fed boards where they're having to balance getting the economy slowed without raising unemployment up too much, and I mean, it's a tough deal. But I think we're getting there. I do believe in the future. I do believe it's going to get better, but it's a tough situation right now.
Definitely. You're good with that stuff.
Good with that stuff.
All righty. Well,
I'm not an economist, Jordo.
Well, you got more knowledge than a lot of people. You've seen a lot. So let's go into now a topic that I'm probably a little more familiar with than you are, but AI and kind of, we're obviously late on the bandwagon of podcasting about, but.
Let me correct something real quick. You're a lot more familiar with what's going on with AI. I mean, I have played with it, and it is fun / scary when you realize what it can do.
Definitely. No, and I went, I think I told you, with Sean, he invited me to a meeting at their headquarters to go over AI and kind of from an investment standpoint, what it looks like and what they think the future holds and kind of the changes it can make and what companies are heavy in AI that could be good investments, which we're not going to go over that. We're not trying to tell you how to invest money here, but it was interesting and very insightful to kind of learn more about how it actually does affect business.
Well, where AI is just, to me, just amazing is I can ask AI to write a chapter for a book and it'll do it. I can ask AI to write a song. You can even get now where AI can write the song and put it in the voice of your favorite artist. I mean, to me, that's kind of scary stuff.
Yeah.
You can watch a video of somebody that you know, an artist that you love, and they can make the mouth look like it's them singing the song that AI wrote. I mean, to me, it's mind-boggling. Now, I'm not a techie guy by any stretch, but just the thought of how they can do that is pretty amazing. And, well, obviously, if we can get AI to write a chapter of a book, AI can take the jobs from a lot of people that was their job, is to write chapters and to write instructions and to write all this stuff. I mean, there's so many areas that AI can literally take jobs from people. I think the future, and not the distant future, the near future, that's really going to be something to keep our eyes on.
Yeah, I saw one of my buddies that's a doctor. They started using AI to go over post-op exactly what they did. Now he would still come in and answer any questions, but basically it's him on a TV, and I mean it looks exactly like him, and whatever anybody had done, like it goes over that, and he played a video and it looked just like him. And, this one just had his head with like a diagram in the background showing everything. And he's like, I did none of this. He's like, and they just did it all. And I mean, it's spot on. And knowing him, like you could see slight differences in the way the mouth moved and just knowing the person. But if you didn't know him well, you would never, ever be able to tell there was a difference.
No, and even in, I think most of you guys that are watching know that I've been in networking for years, and they were showing us at our last convention that one of the co-founders, he did a video on the compensation in English, and then they used AI to have him do it in French. He doesn't know French, but it looked, like you said, looked just like him, and he's going over the compensation plan in French, and his mouth is moving, and like you say, if you know him, you can see some slight differences. But overall, somebody that's just watching it for the first time probably wouldn't notice that was him not doing it.
Yeah. And, one thing, one direction that it's going is it in multiple different businesses will really help improve efficiencies, and in customer service type jobs can help out tremendously. There's a lot of ways that it really does make sense, and from a business owner standpoint could make a lot of financial sense.
Now, I know you went to this conference with Sean, and you've learned some stuff. Our folks that are watching, just normal folks like you and I, how can they get ahead of it? How can they learn it? How can they use it? How can they benefit from AI? Just not tech guys, but just normal folks.
That's a good question, and I think I can give examples of how it helps me out, which is doing, I like to do research, do data analysis. Whenever I want to learn something, I like to go into AI and say, hey, could you bullet point this for me? Whatever the topic may be, and now it bullet points exactly what I need. Anytime, I had to write a long email a couple of months ago, and I just kind of typed in, exactly what the email needed to say, and then had AI help me with actually writing a professional email that sounded correctly in the right tone. I mean, you tell it the right tone, whatever it is. So there are a lot of ways that it can help you day to day, improve your efficiency, take up a lot of the time you spent doing certain things, and, crunch it down into, getting something that would have taken you an hour done in 5 minutes.
I've noticed that even with AI, you can say, do an email, and you can say, put a little more humor in there.
Yeah.
Or it's crazy how, here's some of the phrases I would use. See if you can put some of those in there. I mean, stuff like that is just mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, and this AI, it's learning you and learning, it's so smart, and it picks up on your humor. It picks up, systems in the past couldn't do that. And now, it picks up on you and knows what you mean, and, it can take the humor, it can take whatever it is and interpret it in the right way that you meant it, which is, what makes it such a powerful tool.
And I will say this, though, if you get AI to write something for you, at least go through and read it through one time, because sometimes it just won't sound like you. And I think that's something that I learned, that, I'll get it to write something for me, but then I will read through it and just tweak a couple of little things to make it sound a little more like me and a little less like AI.
Yeah. But it's it's crazy where the world's going. Like you said, it's scary, but it's something, I personally want to keep doing research on. I personally want to be out in front of. Another thing, like I said, I think there's going to be a lot of good investment opportunities because of AI. But it's another use. AI can read your whole email box for you, and it can cipher through what is actually of importance and what is not of importance. And it can, it's just not, and just how fast it works.
Us sitting here talking about this, we need to find somebody that's an expert at it and get them on our podcast. I would enjoy asking some questions about that, because obviously you know a whole lot more than I do, but that would be very interesting of where they see this going and what they see it doing in just another year or two.
I have one person in mind. I don't really know them, but they led that deal. We'll see. We're going to need Sean's help.
Sean will help us.
Sean will help us. So, I mean, that really sums it up for AI, and I don't want to go too in depth on these things. And, it's a crazy time, from a political standpoint. It's a crazy time from an AI standpoint.
An economic standpoint.
There's so much going on that we haven't seen before. And it's going to be interesting to see how everything plays out.
I'm going to throw this out there, not taking a side whatsoever, but I'm old enough to remember when Ronald Reagan was president. And he was obviously a Republican, and Tip O'Neill was Speaker of the House for the Democrats. And they would have some bitter battles. Say that real fast, bitter battles. But then they would go play golf. The thing that I would just ask our audience, and you and I both, is let's agree to disagree. And, it seems like in today's world, if I don't agree with you, I'm supposed to hate you. And I don't understand that, because none of us are going to agree on everything all the time. So, sure, we're going to disagree, and that's great. That's what makes America so great. We can disagree, but we don't have to hate each other if somebody has a different view on something than we do. And, that would be my prayer for this country, is that we can get where we just disagree agreeably.
No, I think you're spot on with that, because it's gotten out of hand, and, we all need to come together as one nation and start, getting along.
Well, I'm simple-minded, but I've got lots of friends that don't agree with everything I say politically. but they're still my friends.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we've lost something. It didn't used to be as bitter as it is right now. And I don't like that bitterness out there. You know, we're still one country. We still live in the best country in the world. And I think it is, you know, up to each of us to just get along.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the biggest thing to me is get along.
Definitely. Well, guys, another episode in the books. Episode 26 here. So, as always, guys, leave the comments down below. Subscribe to the channel. I mentioned on the last podcast that, you know, most of our viewers tuning in are not subscribers. So please subscribe, hit that little bell. You know, let's see where this channel can get. And, you know, we're really starting to push with the TikTok lives we talked about in the last episode. We're sticking with those. I think we'll try to do those Monday through Friday. But, you know, just talk to you guys, interact with you guys as much as possible, because that's what we're wanting to do.
Amen. Well, God bless you guys. We look forward to talking to you about anything you want to talk about. We want to add value to your life. As you see, we're not selling anything here. We're just trying to add some value. If there's a topic you want us to cover, just throw it in the comments, guys. We've done that a couple of times already. We're happy to cover topics because this is for you. So we want to help any way that we can.
Definitely. No, thank you guys for tuning in. Love you, big guy.
Love you.
And we will see you next week.